Hello, everybody. We want to welcome you to another episode of the Nerdy Bookshelf. I'm your host, Woody, and with me is.
The Lone Gamer has returned.
Woo! As you may well be aware, we seem to be missing one. Dreamer Girl is out of town, so I thought me and the gamer here would do our own little discussion, this time on the history and future of Transformers Legend Scale.
Mm-hmm.
And before anyone says, yes, this was suggested by Gamer himself. So we have him to thank for this one.
Yeah.
So what were Transformers Legends class? Transformers Legends, they initially came out in 2005 under the Legends of Cybertron subline. And they were small, I think they were like, 4-inch figures or so that were usually much cheaper representations of the larger figures.
Yeah, I want to say about 4 inches.
So, they did like it, for Cybertron, they did like Optimus Prime, Evac, Megatron.
They do a Starscream?
Yeah, they did all of them. Hotshot. Wave 1 was Megatron, Hotshot, Optimus Prime, and Starscream. Wave 2 was Evac, Jetfire, Leo Breaker, Scourge. Wave 3 was Galvatron, Red Alert, Soundwave, and Vector Prime. Wave 4 was the Excellion redeco of Hotshot, Galaxy Force, Optimus Prime, Sunstorm, and Thundercracker. So they did a sort of bulk, a sort of core selection of main cast members from the series. Sure, there's a number of characters obviously missing there, but obviously, you've got your Optimus Prime, Megatron, Starscream, Hotshot.
Mm-hmm. You got your main characters represented. The more important ones, that is, I guess.
Yeah, and the thing is, they were released in a set of 4 each wave. They were released in a chain store like Myers and they were found absolutely everywhere. So you couldn't exactly,
they weren't store locked.
No, and they were a very, very cheap $3.99 back in 2003.
Oh.
So they were a wallet. So if you couldn't really afford, the main, the all Supreme Starscream, you could at least, get a
tiny one for like a desk or to futz around with.
Exactly. And they also released some exclusives that year at BotCon 2005. We got a repaint of Ramjet. We got a repaint of Skywarp at San Diego 2005. And Target released a 4-pack for leaders featuring Jetfire, Megatron, Optimus Prime, and Soundwave. So you got a wide selection of characters there. So then in the 2006 Classics line, we got a 3 series of legend scales, just so we could basically... It was basically a way of, continuing the way that they would continue the line rather cheaply. That way, they could keep the line going. That was Firefly, Leo Prime, Perceptor, Trypticon in Wave 1. Wave 2 was Bumblebee, Jetfire, Menasor, Whirl in Wave 2. And Wave 3 was Hotshot, Leo Prime, Optimus Prime, and Soundwave. Yeah, and then that leads, obviously, straight into the first movie era.
I actually owned a few of those now that I remember.
The The single packs or the single packs.
Yeah, I think. Which ones did I own from the movie?
The thing is, though, and obviously because it was the movie and it was all new sculpts. Those figures all got redecoed an awful lot.
Yeah.
So wave one in this movie line was Barricade, Bumblebee, Jazz, and Ratchet. Wave two was Optimus and Megatron. Wave three was Blackout and Starscream. And wave four was a Europe and Australia exclusive line was Recon Barricade, Bone Crusher, Cliff Jumper, and Jazz. And to show you guys what we meant by these early legends, here's an example. We've got Evac here because at the end of he represents the sort of Cybertron, the Prime line Cyberverse, the really early stuff. You can see he's a very simple design, quite well painted, quite well decoed. Came with a little blaster accessory and a much simpler transformation. And I do remember some of those because that Autobot Jazz, I do remember. That was the one. If I remember, that was the one that was repainted slightly. I believe it was. If I remember, didn't they also repaint that Jazz into a more G1 style?
Yeah, I think Jazz got the G1 style repaint. And I think alongside the blue deluxe class repaint, or what was deluxe at the time, they did a blue one of him in this legend scale, if I remember right.
Yeah,
or
they
could be
did.
Wrong.
Yeah, because if I remember, the first one was a sort of dull gray, wasn't he? Because based
it
on the
wasn't
CGI.
really considered silver. It was like a dull gray.
And then obviously he got repainted again in the All Spark Battles subline in the silver color. And then he got the blue look again in the All Spark Battles Jazz versus Megatron. So yeah, to mention the All Spark Battles, well, that was a line where Hasbro decided the best way to extend the lifespan of these molds was to give them a very minor repaint and then release them in a 2-pack. So wave one in that one was the Autobot Jazz versus Bone Crusher, Rescue Ratchet versus Brawl, where Rescue Ratchet would now got a G1 style deco.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And Brawl was the first time we saw that tank mold in the line. Cliff Jumper obviously was the red repaint of Bumblebee. And the Recon Barricade was the blue and silver deco of Barricade. Ironhide, yeah, he got a repaint, and then obviously versus Desert Blackout, where Blackout got a tan repaint.
Mm-hmm.
Nightwatch Optimus, that was the blue Optimus. Yeah, that was
like
the first
black
time
and blue.
We saw the blue cab with the black hood and the silver flames. And then the Stealth Starscream, where the Flying Dorito got a black and gold repaint. The problem was, let's be real, because of that legend scale design, he had a very triangular shaped body.
Mm-hmm.
And especially the ball jointed arms, he just sort of had a very eh, mm. I mean, let's be real, Rob. Sorry, Gamer. That Starscream was the weakest of the 2007 movie toys.
Oh yeah.
And that was when it was going up against Megatron. let's be real. That first wave of Transformers '07 Legends, they were painful.
Mm-hmm.
So then Wave 3 was Bumblebee versus Scorponok, and then you got Battle Jazz versus Ice Megatron. Then I think one of the ones I think a lot of people were really interested in were the exclusives at the time, especially the Target Leader 4-pack, where you got the Legends movie Optimus Prime,
Mm-hmm.
Cybertron Optimus Prime, movie Megatron, and Cybertron Megatron all in one pack.
Oh, I think that was one of the sets I owned back in the day.
That was the Target exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Because then there was the Target Optimus, there was the Costco Optimus Prime bonus pack, which came with Leader Class Optimus Prime, Legends Class Bumblebee, and Legends Class Jazz.
Don't recall that one.
And then there was a Toys R Us Battle for the Allspark pack, which came with Barricade, Bumblebee, Jazz, Megatron, Optimus Prime, and Starscream.
Mm-hmm.
So you basically got the core.
The core group in that box alone.
Yeah, which was annoying because then you would have to wait to get the Ironhide versus Blackout pack just to get Ironhide.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was never released in a single card.
Really?
Nope. In the entirety of the 2007 Legend scales, he never got a single card release.
Really?
Not in the US. And it was his only release in the 2007 line. He would get subsequent Legends and Cyberverse, figures later on down the line. But yeah, that was his only one.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you actually wanted to get Ironhide to round out your Autobot cast, you would literally have to go and buy a 2-pack featuring a repaint of Blackout to get it.
Just to get the only version of Ironhide at the time.
Yes. Whew. So Legend Scale, yeah, they proved. So at this point, Legend Scale was starting to really prove itself really popular, and they kept the line going throughout Animated, which sadly, but I think Animated, it suffered because the Legend Scale Animateds were only relegated to Target 3-packs.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, with the Target 3-packs, you got one Deco, one Redecoed Deluxe, and 2 Legends. So the first pack was Lockdown, which featured Bumblebee and Optimus Prime in Legend Scale.
Mm-hmm.
The other pack was Ratchet with Prowl and Starscream. I mean, I think the character choices for animated were a bit weak because you only got 4 cast members out of.
Now, remind me if I'm wrong. Did all the characters in animated get their own legend scale, or did some of them not get any?
Not only 4: Bumblebee, Optimus Prime, Prowl, and Starscream. That was it.
Animated
So
kinds.
there was no Bulkhead. There was no Ratchet.
There was no Megatron.
No,
Man.
there wasn't even a Cliff Jumper Rock. There was no, so you think of all the cast members that could have had a legend scale representation, and they never did.
So they only really gave us one legend scale Decepticon. The rest were Autobots.
Yep. And the only way you could get them was buying 2 redecos of deluxe class figures.
That's crazy.
Yep. And the interesting thing is, though, right? The other Bumblebee did get multiple versions later on, but he only got the other 3 were Japanese exclusive. So in Japan, there was a redeco of Legend Scale, the Legend Scale animated Bumblebee, completely in translucent plastic. It was he was only available at Ito Yakado stores in Japan as a free giveaway if a person spent 3,000 yen or more on animated products.
Wow.
So he was pretty much the easiest exclusive to get at the time. Just go into a store, buy 3,000 yen worth of toys, and you get a free clear Bumblebee. The 4 animated figures, it did get a clear plastic release in a collection, this time through a Family Mart store in Japan as a raffle token promotion. And then the final repaint of this one was the black and gold Elite Guard Bumblebee.
That I think I recall.
He did get I believe he got a deluxe release in the States, but the Legend Scale was a Japanese exclusive, only available in a blind box package.
Wow.
Which is crazy, isn't it? But interestingly, they did later get a single carded release.
Oh.
In the 2008 Universe line, they decided to really branch out and go for characters across the whole gamut. I don't know if you remember these, but this is when in Wave 1 we got Onslaught, Red Alert. I think that was the one that was the repaint of the Cybertron Hotshot.
Yeah, I think I recall that figure. Because I think that was probably one I owned.
Yep. And then the Starscream that was the repaint of the Cybertron Thundercracker mold. Yeah, and then the Onslaught that was the redeco of Cybertron Red Alert.
Yeah, I think that was also one I owned as well.
It was the SWAT tank with the big ass rocket launcher particle cannon on
Yeah,
the top.
I think I owned that one too as well.
So then Wave 2 was the Autobot Hound, which was the first real new tool, which was the Legend Scale Hound,
Mm-hmm.
which was a good figure, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, then they had Jazz, which was the entirely new G1 style Jazz.
Think I
And the
remember seeing that one.
and the G2 Megatron.
The G2 Megatron, I clearly remember.
Then in Wave 3 was the animated wave, which was Prime, Prowl, and Bumblebee.
Uh-huh.
Wave 4 was the new Beachcomber, which would then get redecoed in 2010 into Sandstorm.
Oh yeah.
That was that little beach buggy had the machine gun on the top.
Yep.
Brawn, which was the all new design for Brawn. Bumblebee got his first new toy. And then the final figure in Wave 4 was the animated Starscream.
Mm-hmm.
And then Wave 5 was Cosmos, which was a fantastic flat version of Cosmos. Was reused a number of times from 2008. Of course, the last time it was used was 2009 for Titan's Return.
Oh yeah.
The 2008 Warpath, which was a slightly smaller version of the Generations Deluxe Class Warpath. Remember that futuristic H-tank design he had?
Mm-hmm.
They did a Legend scale version of that. They did Rodimus, which would later be redecoed into Revenge of the Fallen Smokescreen and Dark of the Moon Rodimus.
Mm.
And then finally, Autobot Wheelie. So Wheelie got a new Legend scale toy for the first time in 20 odd years.
Yeah, since he came out in G1.
Yep. So, and then there was two exclusives back then. There was the Target exclusive Aerial Rivals, which had Air Raid, Blades, Ramjet, Skydive, and Thrust. Which I believe the Ramjet and Skydive were redecos of the Cybertron Starscream, which would Starscream Cybertron repaints.
Hmm.
And then obviously Air Raid being a repaint of, I believe it was based on the G2 figure. It was a repaint of, that was the redeck of Legends Soundwave.
Mm-hmm.
Blades obviously being the evac repaint. And Skydive was the Jetfire repaint. So yes, for some reason, Skydive went from being a fighter jet to a big ass cargo plane. Make of that what you will.
Well, to be
And then,
fair, he probably was depressed enough. He gained a little bit of weight, a little too much, but he gained enough weight.
yeah, true. I'll give you that one. And then there was the Combiner Team Leaders 5-pack. I don't know if you remember this one. I do remember this one.
I don't, honestly.
This had Hotspot, which was a redeco of the Cybertron Optimus Prime.
Okay.
Hunger, which was a redeco of Cybertron Scourge.
I knew as soon as you said Hunger, like, probably Scourge.
Razor Claw.
Let me guess. Leo Breaker.
Congratulations, you win a cookie.
Yay!
Scattershot. He was a redeco of Vector Prime.
Ooh.
And Silverbolt being a redeco of the Cybertron Thundercracker. Yeah, that's a set I do remember, and I did actually have that set.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm trying to picture the Scattershot as a Vector Prime figure.
So all you got to do is remember the Vector Prime. You just got to, it's just basically the main body and arms are red with some minor, and the rest of it still has the cream off-white decker that Scattershot is famous for.
Okay.
And then we get to Revenge of the Fallen. I think this is Revenge of the Fallen is where a lot of Transformers fans either jumped on or jumped off, depending on where they were at the time with the Legend scale. Since Hasbro decided to really up the amount of repaints in this line from other into other characters, especially either off screen or video game or other, other pros exclusive characters. So wave one this time was Bumblebee, Jetfire, Optimus Prime, and Springer. Wave 2 was Megatron, Ratchet, Sideswipe, and Starscream. Wave 3 was The Fallen, Grindor, Enforcer Ironhide, and Mudflap. Wave 4 was Recon Bumblebee, our first repaint. Sideways, Skids, and Tankor.
Was that basically a repaint of Brawl?
Yeah, they basically. You remember Tankor from I believe it was Beast Machines. Yeah, it was basically a homage to Beast Machines Tankor, just as a repaint of Brawl.
Okay.
They even gave him the single red optic band, like his original Beast Machines counterpart.
Yeah, I think I recall possibly owning that at one point.
Do you want me to tell you something, Rob? I got that Tankor for absolutely nothing back in the day. And do you want to know how? The first issue of the Titan Comics Revenge of the Fallen had a special free giveaway, right, on the cover. Yes, back when magazines used to do freebies, they gave away a free Legend scale ROTF Transformer. And you got to remember, that was a big deal. That would have been a big deal back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're buying a comic and you're getting a free Legend scale Transformer, and the one I got was Tankle.
So was it randomly selected?
Yeah, they had. I believe they had a selection of obviously, um, legend scale Transformers that obviously either weren't selling or were brand new at the time and just wanted to get rid of them. And obviously,
Mm-hmm.
they just okay, off you go. So then, obviously, Wave 5 was Power Armor Optimus Prime, Blue Steel Sideswipe, yes, which was a repaint of Sideswipe. Because, of course, we had to have one.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, all Blue Steel Sideswipe was just Sideswipe, but now in a metallic blue paint scheme.
Okay.
Soundwave and Wheelie, and then Wave 6, the final wave, was RC, Stealth Bumblebee, Jolt.
Mhm.
So, I mean, you did have a wide selection of main cast members and some minor characters in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then continuing the practice, they did actually release some exclusive box sets back in the day. Kmart, they had a War for the Skies pack, which came with Blades, which was a redeco of Springer, Jetfire, which was a grey and black redeco.
Now Springer, I should have asked this
Yeah.
earlier. Was he a repaint?
No, he was actually an all new figure that was he was a V-22 Osprey.
Oh. Guess you learn something new every day.
Yep. Spinister was the Blackout repaint, and Thundercracker was a redeco of Legends Starscream.
Dorito 2.0.
Yes, but it was a it was basically a nod to the Voyager class figure from 2007.
Ah.
So Target Target had a number of 2-packs where you got Bumblebee versus Shadow Striker, in which Shadow Striker was literally a black and pink repaint of Wheelie.
Ooh.
Mudflap and Skids got a repaint,
Uh-huh.
which featured they basically got black hood and legs and dirt streaks up the side. Because if you hated Skids and Mudflap enough, there's always 2 more repaints for you. Smokescreen, which was a repaint of Universe Rodimus in its G1 colors, and then you got a black repaint of 2007 Starscream.
Mm-hmm.
And then Straightway Shootout, which had a 5-pack, which was Target. You had Ironhide, which was a movie accurate. You gave a Mudflap which was just a straight repack. Swerve, which was a repaint of a Sideswipe. Spark Crusher, which was a Warpath repaint.
Mm-hmm.
And Run Amok, which was G1 Jazz. Even though he's oddly repainted like Breakdown. And then Walmart had the Devastator, because that was the only, which was annoying because the only way you could get Devastator was via Walmart exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
And then the final one was the Fury of Fear Swoop, where you basically got a redeco of the Dreadwing, and two Legend scale.
Okay.
So you get Sideswipe and Mudflap. So again, we're back to it's a deluxe repaint and two Legends.
Okay.
Woo. And then obviously this is coming up to the very end of it. Obviously, Transformers 2010, which was a remix of the old movies, and then the new stuff. We had the Cyberfire Bumblebee, Fireburst Optimus Prime,
Mm-hmm.
which was more a Ultra Magnus inspired deco for Optimus Prime. Rampage, which was a single carded release of the Revenge of the Fallen. Rampage and Ravage from Dark of the Moon. Then we got Hound, a repaint of the previous Hound in more G1 accurate toy colors.
Okay.
Long Haul, which again was a single pack Override, which was a redeco of he was a redeco of Revenge of the Fallen Sideways.
Okay.
And then Sandstorm, which was the redeco of Beachcomber. Storm was a redeco of Dark of the Moon Springer. Skids got a repaint as Tuna Skids. Wave 4 featured Gold Bumblebee, or Gold
Shocker.
Bug as we know. Now this is the one that has recently shot up in value, is the Legend Scale Reveal the Shield Megatron.
Ooh.
Which was based on his All Hail Megatron design.
Ooh.
And it transformed into the gun mode. And then we got the Optimus Prime, which was the Reveal the Shield one. That we all remember that little box cab Optimus Prime. That was quite a popular toy. That one. And then we got the Legend Scale Reveal the Shield Starscream, which was an entirely new figure. Then a couple of exclusives where we got the UK Shop2.net Starscream, which was I do have that one. It was it was a Cybertron Starscream in the Fall of Cybertron deco.
Ooh.
I have that one. So what that Shop 2 was is if you pre-ordered War for Cybertron on any platform via the UK website, shop2.net, you got a free promotional Starscream. It was later released for ACG Hong Kong 2010 if you bought a purchase of Transformers toys amounting to more than 400 Hong Kong dollars. Toys R Us had a G1 repaint of the Dark of the Moon Constructicons. And Bumblebee got then obviously the final exclusives were the repaints of Bumblebee, Megatron, Optimus, and Starscream.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe the difference was the fact that some versions of the multiple outlet versions of Optimus came with the motor breath sword.
Ah.
That was pretty much the only difference, which was a bit of a pain in the backside. I did have this Wave for multiple outlets version. Because they were widely. The thing is, the Reveal the Shield Legends classes did get a redeco from the Easy Collection, and they were releasing generic packaging in dollar stores back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So what they did is, and to make it slightly different, is they gave them accessories. So that was the final wave of Legends class.
Yeah, because later down the line, they basically phased it out for something a little bit larger.
Yeah. So what happened is that at the end of 2010's Reveal the Shield line, Hasbro intended to move the Legend scale size into a different direction, which is when Dark of the Moon, the Legend scale became Cyberverse,
Mm-hmm.
which is what he's a part of. He's a part of the Cyberverse line, which ran through Dark of the Moon and Prime. Then they got renamed to Legion class for some reason. But then by the end of 2012, they got renamed back into the Legend scale. And they were obviously slightly bigger than what we intended.
What they used to be back in the day.
Yes. Because let me show you. If you remember, this is the Cyberverse. Here is the Combiner Wars Legend scale Viper. You can actually see there is a significant height difference.
Oh, yeah. There's at least a good inch or two.
Yep. So what happened is after 2012, these Legend scale figures would get put as part of the early case assortments, because what they would do, rather than having a specific line as a Legend scale featuring smaller figures, they were part of the bigger assortment, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
And they had their own characters, repaints, redecos. But they were still part of the overall larger line. And these larger Legend scales ran really all the way up from, what was it, like 2014 all the way up to like 2018, 20?
I want to say they ran almost up to $10, maybe more.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is the years these were available, it was like 2014 to 2019.
Yeah, I want to say up to $10, maybe $1 or $2 over that.
Yeah, they were very cheap figures, and a lot of them were repaints. A lot of them were new figures overall.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we definitely got. I mean, definitely the earlier eras of these legend scales. They were definitely more. Um, definitely more repaints than new ones. But changing that for a second, while Legend Scale did have its own place on Hasbro store shelves and it was very popular, across the pond, however, in Japan and China, we got these little babies.
Ooh.
Now, because Legend Scale was proving itself, yeah, I mean, let's have a look back here. Back in the early days of third party, you only really had two real types to collect. It was either the G1 type reissues
Mm-hmm.
or early Masterpiece. And as these legend scale guides was gaining traction, gaining popularity, throughout back then, we had a number of companies releasing legend scale Transformers. I had a number of these back in the day. There was companies like Hot Soldiers because they were the first to release the legend scale. The what was Hearts of Steel.
Ooh.
That in legend scale they did a bunch of G1 characters that had never had legend scale toys back then. In the G1 design like Ironhide, Ratchet, Cliffjumper, Hubcap. So these guys were basically filling the gaps. But but that was the early days. But then, Gamer, why don't you tell us a little bit about the dark horse of the legend scale back then? That being Iron Factory.
Oh, Iron Factory. So basically, Iron Factory did their own back in the day. They would do characters, but not in the typical G1 styled look. They give them more of like a futuristic slash chug styled look of their
Mhm.
characters. Like for example, Soundwave. He was. They gave him like a Cybertronian armored vehicle, like almost SUV type thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And correct me if I'm wrong, Gamer, but weren't Iron Factory the first to really give us the full DJD in
yeah,
legend scale?
that that also combined, if I remember right.
Yep, and it wasn't just like, oh, we'll just do Tarn, we'll just do this.
They did them
We,
all.
we Yep, because I believe there was two sets of DJD releases at the time. I believe Iron Factory did the legend scale, and I think it was MMC. I want to say that did the masterpiece scale.
Yeah, the MMC reformatted line.
I think the only difference is the MMC reformatted. They only had the torture device mode, and they didn't actually combine,
No, they did not combine at all.
which was interesting given the fact we didn't actually see Tan, despite being a very popular character for almost a decade later.
Yeah, he was the only one that MMC didn't really release.
No, but what I'm saying is, if you think about it, at the time when IDW was hitting that stride with the Lost Light, the DJD storyline, all those characters, you got to think that Hasbro didn't actually give us any of those, redesigned characters that fans really wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Like Tarn, the DJD, the Purple Rodimus. the skull-faced Cyclonus. But then you have guys like MMC and Iron Factory doing that.
Because I remember the first Iron Factory figure I owned was a Nemesis, like a Optimus Prime figure repainted in the Nemesis Prime colors.
Yep. Yeah, I do remember that. And the thing is, what I did like about Iron Factory, and I know you're going to show us some, is that Iron Factory don't just do, main characters in a more stylized view. They take characters and go their own direction.
Mm-hmm. And within recent, I'm trying to think, how many years ago did they start this subline?
A couple of years ago. I think it's been going, at most, I want to say, about 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Because Iron Factory started doing what they call their Iron Samurai subline, basically taking characters and giving them like a samurai-esque look. For example, this is Iron Factory's Iron Samurai Grimlock.
So look at that right there. So you got Grimlock. He's designed just like a samurai.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the armor pieces. See if I can.
Yeah.
That is great, and I like that because it's a rather unique design. It's it's a creative way of taking the character and changing it up to something different.
And he's not the only one I have. He's just the only one on hand I have. I have a Iron Samurai Drift in the Age of Extinction colors. I have a Lockdown in the Age of Extinction colors. I have a G1 Ironhide. And a Samurai stylized Iron Factory Optimus Primal.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love they've got that Kabuto helmet. They've got the armor plated, they've got the armored shoulders. They've got the skirts.
Mm-hmm. And those aren't the only ones. They've done Inferno. They just did a Sideswipe mold. They did Prowl Smokescreen mold. They did the Cyclonus. They basically have two lines going. One more chug scale and their samurai subline, which is working fantastic for them.
Yep. So the other thing we wanted to really talk about here is obviously the new standard for legend scale figures is New Age.
Oh yeah. Because that's what, the New Age Viper?
Yeah, it's basically a repaint of their
Power Glide.
Yeah.
It's funny. You're not the only one with New Age. This is their New Age Ultra Magnus.
That is in. I do want to say, Gamer, I love the fact they actually combined the two styles of Ultra Magnus into one toy.
Mm-hmm. And if you guys are wondering, the armor comes off and there's the typical albino white Optimus Prime repaint. But yeah, this works. And New Age, they basically will release a mold and then repaint it like 5-6 different times.
Yeah, one thing I do like about New Age is that they don't just go for like, oh, we're just releasing the Power Glide. They're gonna do there's gonna be like some a cartoon, comic book,
Mhm.
G1, G2, an alternative, GoBot, even GoBots, or even, turning it into Shattered Glass or another character.
Yeah, for example, I have a repaint. I have a New Age repaint of the RC mold, G1 RC mold, into Alita 1. And what
Oh,
I like with some of their repaints, obviously they give you new paint schemes, new head, if they choose, and different accessories. So you're not just getting the same figure over and over again.
yeah, it's like with the Viper, you get the Autobot laser pistol, obviously, that came with Paraglide, but you also he also comes, and I don't know whether you can see that very well in this, he comes with a selection of rockets that he can either hold or it clips to the underside of the wing.
Mm-hmm.
So he's actually coming fully armed.
Mm-hmm. And what New Age has been doing maybe the last couple of years, not very often, they're releasing 2.0 versions of their characters.
So they're going back and improving.
And not just improving, giving a figure a whole new mold. For example,
Wow.
they've done so far the only ones I know they've done is the Ratchet and Ironhide molds, which
Yep.
I have the 2.0 Ironhide coming my way shortly. I think they also did, if I saw right when I was looking, they did a 2.0 Cyclonus mold.
That's interesting.
And what New Age also did, they took that Cyclonus mold and turned it into Depth Charge from Beast Wars.
Now that takes some creativity.
And it works. Granted, it's just the vehicle modes swapped around and swords pegged into jet mode's rear, but it works.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's so left field because think, nobody would ever think that Cyclonus would work as a depth charge repaint.
It did. And what New Age is basically doing is they're releasing their own versions of the Dinobots and the multiple color versions they each come in.
Yeah, because they'll do like the G1 cartoon, they'll do the G1 comic book, they'll do the G2 released, G2 unreleased.
Yep.
Because I know, like with Grimlock, they've done him in cartoon colors. They've done him in the comic book colors.
Mm-hmm.
They've done him in the G2 blue. They've done him in the G2 tiger stripe.
Mm-hmm. Now, what New Age has started to do something different with their figures,
Mm-hmm.
and this is New Age Romulus, which is a take on their G1 Megatron.
Yeah, now he is supposed to be a leader class because they intended him to scale with the new
Commander
studios.
86 Commander Optimus Prime.
Yeah, they intended him to go with that, but looking at photos and actually having him on hand, I think he was actually intended for Earthrise.
Yeah.
I believe he was intended to come out for Earthrise. For whatever reason, they didn't release him for Earthrise
Mm-hmm.
because, and instead they've released him for Studio Series 86, and he's clearly shorter than SS86 Optimus Prime.
Mm-hmm.
So
Now I know you didn't
that,
mess with your figure yet, but just going by how it looks, do you think they could do more figures like Romulus.
In general, or from that mold?
In general.
I think that that sort of chug, the mainline scale could use some new figures and redesigned figures and things that work alongside it. Yeah, I think if you take let's be real, let's take that. If you take that, Siege Megatron, push him aside and put that Romulus in his place, he works. He works alongside it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I think if New Age was smart, took a look at what figures in the modern era are literally screaming for a refresh, right?
They could do it.
They could plug that gap until we get a new version. Or at least give us a new character based on, a figure that hasn't had a new version in a long time and fans are crying out for a new one.
Mm-hmm.
I would say putting it alongside the mainline War for Cybertron stuff, yeah, you could have. New Age really could plug that gap. Whether or not they work alongside the Age of the Prime stuff, is yet to be seen.
We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, but now I've spoken a little about Legends class, and that was a great segue into our next section. That is after the War for Cybertron era ended, we got a new designation for the Legend scale, and that is Core Class.
Yeah. Here's an example. This is Core Class Studio Series Rise of the Beasts RC.
So she's clearly taller than much taller than the old Legend scale. She's much taller than the Cyberverse, and she's much taller than the old school Legends, the Chug Legend scale.
She's the same size as New Age Lolita 1 here.
Wow.
I did not make this comparison until now. These two are the same size.
So, and then once you compare the whole design, you've got an increased articulation, accessories now, as standard.
Yeah. Accessories kind of took a bit of a bite, depending on the figure.
Yeah, but at least, you think of how many of these old school Legends figures that didn't actually come with, like, blasters or
Blast effects or even a weapon.
Yeah. And then, you have the modern Core Class where they do actually come with accessories now.
Mm-hmm. And that basically lasted until Core Class lasted until basically
last year.
Yeah. The
Last
end of
year
Legacy.
the end of Legacy, because Age of the Primes, which just started coming out now, since Primer and Mega Primers started to leak.
Prima Prime and Red Alert
have already dropped in certain places in the US. They've been spotted in Canada recently. Just this week alone, they were spotted in Canada and I believe in Texas in the United States. So we are starting to see the figures leak through, and then I believe that Megatronus, aka the Fallen, has been pushed forward now to next week or the week after, I believe.
Hopefully.
So yeah, get your wallets ready. Yeah, so this would be the first time since 2005 where we haven't had a budget small class figure that to go alongside.
The mainline figures.
Yeah. But here's my question to you, gamer. Do you think that the small scale figures will return one day, or do you think the days of legends have long passed us?
That's a good question because you can kind of go both ways with it. Because last few toy lines, the legend scale or core class, wasn't really received well by
Mm-hmm.
the general public. But on
Yeah.
the other hand, there are people like me and you who love the
Mm-hmm.
legend skill. So,
Yeah.
so if I were to choose, if I could see, the best thing I could say is never say never.
Mm-hmm.
They could come back. They could not come back. The world may never
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. But again, it was just your opinion on the matter, and But here's the other thing. If you were to, what would you want to see out of the next wave of if Legends did come back, what would you like to see them tackle?
Um,
Would you like them to do the smaller figures in this, like with post 2010, where they did the figures to go alongside to supplement the line, or would you want it to go back to the old style of Legends where it was a mixed bag?
that's a good question. Um, I kind of want to see them be a little more inclusive with their characters. Like include characters we don't get to see too often.
So you'd want to take it back to the whole 2005 to 2012 era where it was a mixed bag.
Yeah, but I would like them to kind of continue on with what the core class did. A little bit more articulation, an accessory here and there, but include a lot more characters we don't see from, get figures of,
So you'd
that
want it
sort
to
of
be
thing.
like you'd want it to be like 2012 where it's like, oh, we've got these core classes. Okay, so we've got a Beast Machines, we've got an animated, we've got a G1, we've got a movie verse.
You get Unicron trilogy, you get Robots in Disguise 2015, you get the whole kit and caboodle, even Beast
Rather,
Wars.
yeah, rather than it being like, say, War for Cybertron, where it was just like the core classes are all primes.
Yeah.
But here's the question, though. What were your thoughts on those legend scale gimmick figures of that sort of Prime Wars and War for Cybertron era?
I mean, some of them were okay. Some of them were kind of like, was it really necessary? It was kind of a hit or miss for me.
Yeah. Because I was fine with the sort of like the. I mean, I was kind of fine with the whole Combiner Wars and Titans Return era and Legend scale, especially the Titan Master figure sets.
Hmm.
Because I mean, if you think about it, with the Titan Master sets, you got the Headmaster figure, and then you got the little accessory that turned into a vehicle and a weapon. And those the Titans, and if you remember the Prime Wars Legend scale figures, I think they were some of the best figures we ever had for
Yeah,
the
you're
time.
not wrong there.
Because I mean, let's be real, that Viper, it stands up even now, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
the wind charger. I think that's arguably the most accurate wind charger we're ever going to get.
Yeah, and as far
The
as I
blo-
know, there's still no word on getting a new one in general.
yeah, the brawn, fantastic. Sea spray, fantastic. I wish we'd have seen, like you say, we'd gotten the rest of like the throttle bots in Titan's Return because we got Chase, but we never got like Searchlight wide load.
Mm-hmm. Kind of expand their list a little more.
Yeah, because that Chase figure, yeah, despite it being a repaint of Bumblebee, it worked.
Yeah.
And then obviously the Legends class slashed to expand the Dinobot slightly. Again, that worked. She worked.
I remember owning that Slash figure.
She was really good for a Legend scale.
Oh, yeah.
In my opinion, I think I would. I think I think the Prime Wars into War for Cybertron was sort of like the golden age of the Legend scale figure, and I think that's when we got that chug era. I think we've yet to have things that will either beat it or surpass it in terms of
Mm-hmm.
Legend scale. I mean, core class. I mean, it did some good things. I mean, it did some good things. I mean, let's be real. Core class Spike in Studio Series 86. That was a good, solid toy.
Um. Yeah, they were. Some of them were decent. Some of them were a complete surprise.
Yep. I mean, even that Studio Series ROTBRC, it is a great figure.
It's a shame that was the only version of RC in the Studio Series line we're gonna get.
Yeah, it's a shame that we'll never eventually get a Studio Series Deluxe one, especially
Mm-hmm.
since now apparently Studio Series is done.
No, they're gonna focus more on 86.
Well,
Probably give us.
apparently, from what the rumors are saying, is that Studio Series 86 Devastator is the end of the line. That's it.
Yeah, because they're gonna be releasing their next Combiner team in Age of the Primes, which is Bruticus.
Yeah, so that still leaves a number of 86. That leaves a number of 86 characters that will never get a release of.
Yeah. Unless they magically give us characters we're missing, like what? Wind Charger?
Oh, the Wind Chargers. Well, even the new Autobots like Autobots and Decepticons.
Mm-hmm.
Cyclonus. Even because there's still a number of characters from that movie we never got released. I mean, even Astra Train.
Well, granted, if they did a Studio Series Cyclonus, it'd just be a more show or toy accurate color scheme of the Cyclonus figure we've had last few years.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But yeah, that's all I can really think of off the top of my head on what we're gonna do with Core and Studio Series 86 in general.
Yeah, I think, quite honestly, once they bring out the rest of Devastator, they might just axe the line.
Yeah, that's the big talk right now is that Devastator is the last Studio Series figure ever released.
Wouldn't be surprised at this point.
which is sad because that means we'll probably never see any other Transformers. All these movies get a studio series release.
Yeah, because there's a lot of characters. For example, TF1 we could get.
Yep, but
Because the last
obviously
three from
because
TF1 that we're going to get is Sentinel, Alita, and B127.
yeah, and that's kind of sad. But then again, I can kind of understand it because despite the fact you know TF1 getting all these rave reviews from people watching the movie, it didn't do that well at the box office, and it barely broke even.
Yeah, and marketing bit him in the rear big time.
Yep. So obviously, I think that'll be put paid to any plans of any potential sequels or.
Who knows?
But yeah, anything else you want to add on the whole mini core class things you want to
Hmm.
add before we start wrapping this up?
I know one company, can't remember the name, but they're going to be doing their own legend scale versions. At least so far, the only figure they're doing right now they're going to release, is a Fall of Cybertron Grimlock.
Wow. Okay. Now that's interesting.
But yeah, other than that, could we get more War for Cybertron or Fall of Cybertron characters in a legend scale? Maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows?
The other thing as well I remember is that Magic Square, they were really big on the whole legend scale market back in the day. It looks like they're moving more into the masterpiece line after the success of their Optimus Prime, and I think now they're Bruticus.
Their big thing right now is I believe they're doing a Bruticus. Because I think there are 3 figures in on the Bruticus set for Magic Square. And I'm all alone. I don't like it. It's too quiet. Oh, give me 1 second, people. Or possibly maybe some technical difficulties on Woody's end, so we'll just patiently give him a minute or two, get things sorted. Um, what else legend scale could I bring up in the meantime? Um, I'm drawing a blank. This is so weird being on my own. Not sure I like it. But I guess until he comes back. Yes, technically this is legend scale, but it's also a knockoff upscale.
Oh, sorry about that. Sorry
No
about
worries.
that.
I was just about to show them off. I forgot one knockoff Magic Square item I have.
Yeah, sorry. Anyway, what I was saying about the Magic Square right now is obviously they were one of the really big early names in third party legend scale back in the day.
And now they're moving
And
more into the MP Masterpiece scale line.
Yes.
And as I was telling our lovely viewers,
since we've
their first
recently
big thing is Bruticus.
Yeah, and I mean they started that with the MP scale Optimus Prime.
True.
What was it, like Guardian of Light or Light of Peace or something like that?
I think so. Yeah. But
I remember that MP Optimus because at the end of the day, it was a scale that was sort of um, it was sort of like MP44 but on a budget.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember they did the Optimus Prime, they did like the Ghostbusters, they did the Nemesis,
Mm-hmm.
and now they're moving into Bruticus. And I think the first one they did was like they've done Swindle, and I think they're doing Brawl now.
They did Brawl. I think their new one, their next one is actually Onslaught.
Oh, because I saw they'd done Swindle. I saw they'd done Brawl and Swindle.
Yeah, they did Brawl and Swindle, and I believe the colored prototypes of Onslaught have been revealed.
Oh wow! So yeah. So what were you going to show us about Magic Square then?
This isn't officially Magic Square, but this is an upscale knockoff. I have their Stunticon set.
Oh wow! Go on.
And what I like about this set, you can go from show accurate Manosaur look to toy accurate Manosaur if you want
interesting. And how is that achieved? How is that achieved?
You basically, in combined mode, you could swap out the head, I believe the chest plate, the skirt, the feet. And what you can also do in either mode, you can display how the arms are combined. Like if you want the drag strip and dead end separated into two segments, you can. You can have them combined in their normal vehicle mode in one segment. You have options.
That's actually quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she has. She's been out to the bathroom. Sorry about that.
No worries.
So Magic. Yeah, I remember Magic Square. I bought a number of their legend scale figures because I mean, at the end of because I remember they were the only ones at the time doing the season 2 Autobot cars. Because they were really because if you think about it, they are some of the more popular characters that people always want.
Mm-hmm.
Figures of. Aside from the season 1 Autobot car cast, it's always the season 2 Autobot cars and the Seekers that people want.
Yep.
Smokescreen, Blue Streak, Prowl, Jazz, Trax, Grapple, Red Alert, and Inferno. And I do remember at the time the battle between Papa Toys or PPT and Magic Square on whose Red Alert, Inferno, and Grapple were the best. And I believe Magic Square are still continuing their Legend scale.
I believe so, but they're taking more a bit of a backseat. They're trying to focus on their more advanced stuff. Like I said, they're currently working on a Bruticus.
Yeah, the Optimus Prime, the Bruticus. And I do like the fact with like the Swindle and the Brawl we've seen now, they do straddle that sort of toy accurate and cartoon accurate line.
Mm-hmm. I don't know about you, but I think we covered about just about everything we wanted.
Yeah, I do think that. Though I will say this, since we mentioned Hasbro, what do you think the future holds for third-party Legend scale in the, going forward?
Third party legend. Again, they have so many options, but a lot of some companies have what they're working with, and it's working with them so far, so they're sticking with it.
Yeah. So where do you think New Age is going to go?
New Age. I mean, they could slowly branch out, maybe, depending on if they continue with the same scale size as Romulus.
Yeah.
Um, I think New Age just revealed they're doing their own version of Menasor.
In the Legend scale or slightly larger?
I don't know. They just only showed grayed out prototypes.
Okay.
I forget which convention it was.
Okay. Interesting. Then obviously Iron Factory. Where do you want that? What would you like to see from them? Where do you think they're going to keep going?
Oh, they're going to keep going because I know, because other than their Iron Samurai subline, they got so many options. I think Iron Factory's latest thing is they just did the last of their figures for their Lyle Kaiser combiner.
Ah,
So they could do more figures like maybe Victory Saber.
yeah.
Um,
Obviously, in their stylized design.
I'm wondering if Iron Factory could pull off their own version of Raiden.
I
Right.
think they. I think they probably could.
I could
But
see either
whether.
New Age or Iron Factory, but if I was to choose, I'd probably go with Iron Factory.
But here's the question, though: would you like to see it in their standard design style or in a off the wall style?
That's a good question.
Yeah, could you imagine what the Iron Samurai train bots would look like?
Oh, that'd be nuts. But that would look very awesome. But I think for something like that, for a character of that notoriety, I would stick closer to show/toy accuracy.
Yeah, where kind of like what High Moon Studios did with their
Hmm. Which I
um,
still have to collect the other three I need.
where it was basically MPG 2.0 Raiden.
Yeah. One thing I want to see Iron Factory do, I, in either their normal or their samurai line, I want to see them do Victory Saber.
To be honest, I think with with Star Saber bragging how he's the greatest swordsman in the galaxy, the Iron Samurai line could totally fit him.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Whew.
Yeah, but I do want to apologize for that minor technical glitch partway through the episode.
Oh, that's okay. They witnessed my descent into madness a little bit while you were away.
Well, while I was away for 5 minutes trying to fix it.
Any longer, and they would have came at me with pitchforks and torches.
Yes, I don't think I could be away from the screen that long. But yeah, thanks. Thanks for holding the fort down, Rob. Gamer, I
No
really do
problem.
appreciate this.
No problem.
Any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Not really. No.
Well, I think my final thought is, Legends, started out as this really interesting concept where they wanted to, make slightly cheaper versions, $4 versions of, core characters that were more budget friendly, simpler in design, and simpler in engineering, but were still fun.
Oh yeah.
how it branched out into what it became over the years, how core classes filled the gaps, how we've had so much over the years. I'm in many ways I am sad to see, the whole Legends core Cyberverse Legion, whatever you want to call it, disappear from store shelves. And, I think, that the whole budget friendly option now is kind of very limited for mainline.
Mm-hmm.
In many ways, I do wish, Hasbro hadn't cancelled it and we'd eventually get it back. But I suppose it does sort of mean that they can put more of the budget into the actual figures we're getting in mainline.
Mm-hmm. Like I said before, never say never.
Yeah, maybe one day we'll see a return to the Legends class on store shelves. But no, I do want to say thank you very much for joining us today as we take this little, and no pun intended, trip down memory lane to look at some, you know, to look at some Legends class, core class, Legion class.
Go down history.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very. I've been your host, Woody.
I'm the Lone Gamer.
Thank you very much for listening, and good night.